I was overthinking it like crazy, spending ridiculous amounts of time thinking that I was going to ruin this baby by giving him the wrong middle name. To share or not to share your baby's name before the birth, that is the question this week for us. So in this video, week 18 of where I share my pregnant digital nomad journey as we are here in Brazil, Florianopolis. In this video, I bring out a special guest, my husband, to talk about how we changed our minds on this particular decision that we were so adamant about just a couple of weeks ago. So there's no right or wrong choice here. If you want to share your baby's name or not before the birth, it's an absolutely personal decision. But I found it so interesting how we completely did a 180 on this, okay? 180 that I was just not expecting. In this video, you're gonna get to find out our baby's name, so stay tuned. We share our reasons for changing our minds, what happened, and then we share our baby's name.
All right, so we have our week 18 baby bump update. I am 18 weeks, 5 days pregnant, and this right here is my bump. It definitely feels more bumpy than it did last week. I'm not sure if you can tell, but yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good in my body, in the way that I've been exercising and moving and resting and eating the past couple of weeks. It's been largely thanks to my coach, Maria. My coaches Maria and Carrie, they have been helping me keep me on track. And actually they increased my calories and my macros a couple of weeks ago, and I was so reluctant. I was like, it's gonna be too much, it's gonna be out of control, I'm gonna gain weight like crazy. And honestly, I've never eaten so much on purpose. I've definitely eaten more in different phases of my life, but never on purpose like I'm eating now. And I have never felt better. Like I actually feel leaner than I did a couple of weeks ago. I think it's just because I have space in my macros plan to fit everything I want to eat in and fit enough food in, so I'm not craving or, you know, looking to go outside of my plan and then going crazy. So yay, macros, really happy. And baby bump update.
Hi everyone, so I am back with a special guest, my husband, my baby daddy. Here he is. So we're here today to talk about our baby's name. And if you watched a video a couple of weeks ago, I think it was week 15, 14, something like that, I talked about how we really were very much set on not saying the baby's name until birth. We were 100% decided, committed that this was not happening. So I also want to share this as an example of, like, you get to change your mind, right? If you change your mind about something, you genuinely feel that way, you get to change your mind about it. So
why did you change your mind?
Okay, so after last week's scan, so if you watch last week's video, week 18, you will see how we went to the doctors and we saw the baby, and it was very exciting, it was very emotional, and I sent a picture to the family group chat that I have with my mom and my brothers. And one of my brothers, my brother Alejandro, he replied with a, "Hey nephew, what's your name?" And they had been asking after the name, you know, for weeks probably, but I didn't feel like I had to answer. And when he asked it, I felt like I wanted to answer. Like I really wanted to tell him the name. So that just kind of planted a little seed of like, do we share the name? Do we want to share the name? And I started talking to Jose about it, and you were going through something similar,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, my family was, my mom, my dad, they were both like very interested in knowing about the name. They were asking like pretty much every week, and I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was saying like, you know, we haven't decided yet. We're not totally sure about it. And I mean, we have an idea, but we don't want to tell. I mean, we have like a very good idea of the first name, but the second name was something we were not like sure.
We weren't sure in the middle name, and I was overthinking it like crazy. I was going crazy, spending ridiculous amounts of time thinking that I was going to ruin this baby by giving him the wrong middle name.
And you know, all the options were great. I mean, all the options that we were shortlisting, it was like very good options.
There's a short list of like 4 middle names.
I was okay with some of those options. I was telling you, like, you know, this is like, you're like totally crazy about what color the room's gonna be. I mean, the color of the room for the baby is gonna be, it's gonna be light green or light blue, and we're just stressing about what color we're gonna have like in a few months.
My version of nesting.
And I know this is important, but this is not going to change anything. This kid's going to be great. It doesn't matter if
they were all good names. Yeah. They were all great names. But anyway, so we left it, we let it sit for a couple of days and we talked about it. Then it got to the point where we weren't sharing it, not because we didn't want to, but because we didn't know the middle name and we wanted to share the whole name at the same time. And I actually had a conversation with my mom, because my mom's had 5 kids, right? So she's like decided on 10 names essentially. So I was like, hey mom, so how did you pick names? Like, how do you do names? And she gave me some advice. It was good advice. And essentially the conclusion was like, hey, just pick the one that sounds the best. Like phonetically, out of the ones that you've shortlisted, pick the one that sounds the best with the first name or with your last name. So yeah.
And don't bother about trying to like make some kind of winky or to try to do an honor or something to someone else. Just like focus on what's a good name and that's it. I mean, it doesn't matter anything else.
Exactly. We were considering some names that were family names, like people in our families as the middle name. And then that kind of created a sort of pressure of like, when we have more kids, do we then have to pick another family name? Like, are we then forced to always pick a family name for the
just
middle name
to
balance it out, because we picked someone from one side of the family but not the other side of the family.
Exactly.
We ended up picking names that are not really in the family. I mean, the middle name, I have a nephew who also has the same middle name, but we don't really know him by that name, so I don't think it really counts. So, do we share the name?
Sure.
We just say it?
I mean, I think you should say it in English and I should say it in Spanish.
Okay, so we're so excited to share our baby's name. Our baby is called Simon David.
Simon David, if you know Spanish.
One thing that we love about this name is that it's written in the same way in Spanish and English. They're both standard names in Spanish and English. They're not obviously Hispanic names or obviously English names. They're just kind of like international names that you see a Simon, you see a David. It could be from anywhere.
Exactly.
And we live a very international lifestyle, so that was really important to us, that it was easy to recognize and pronounce in different languages, especially Spanish and English.
Exactly. Let's share a little bit about the history of how we pick that name.
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, so this is not a name that we had considered. You know, couples, you talk about, oh, what would we call our babies if we had babies one day? This was not a name that was on our radar. But last year we went to see the film Simone. For those of you who haven't seen the film Simone, please go and watch it. We'll leave the link in the description. It is an amazing film that's essentially about the repercussions of the dictatorship in Venezuela and the protests in Venezuela. And it's not so much about the protests themselves, but what happens to a particular student leader after the protest. Yeah, it was a very, very moving film. Anyone who's watched it, especially if you've watched it and you're also Venezuelan, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then we left the cinema, and a couple of days later we were like, hey, what about Simón Graterol? It's a good solid name. So that's our baby's name. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed for more videos, more of my journey as a pregnant digital nomad. If you haven't watched a video where I lay out all of my plans, all of our plans for the next couple of months, and make sure you check that out. We have some exciting things coming up in the next couple of weeks with a cruise, time in Portugal, time in Luxembourg. My husband is running a half marathon, and then we are getting settled in Spain, preparing for the birth. So that's what's going on. Make sure you subscribe for more, and ciao for now.